War crimes, two words that should never go together, but sadly they do. They represent the worst of humanity, a betrayal of our shared values. We're talking murder, torture, attacks on civilians, things that make you question if humanity even deserves to exist. Accountability is key. We can't just shrug our shoulders and say, that's war for you. We have to hold perpetrators responsible, no matter how powerful they are, because if we don't, what message does that send? It says these acts are acceptable, and they never are. Justice is about more than punishment. It's about acknowledging the suffering of victims. It's about deterring future atrocities. It's about saying, never again. This isn't just about being on the right side of history. This is about basic human decency. It's about saying that every life has value, and those who violate that value must be held accountable. Sadly, war crimes aren't just something from history books. They're happening right now. Syria, Yemen, Ukraine. These conflicts are rife with allegations of atrocities. We're talking chemical weapons, mass displacement, sexual violence used as a weapon of war. Take Syria, for example. The images coming out of that conflict are horrifying. Hospitals bombed, children gassed. It's enough to make you sick. And the worst part, many of those responsible are still walking free. These aren't just numbers on a page. These are real people, real lives shattered by violence. We can't become numb to it. We have to keep talking about it, keep demanding justice. So how do we hold perpetrators accountable? It's a long, complicated process. It starts with investigations, gather evidence, interview witnesses, build a case. Organizations like the UN and the International Criminal Court, ICC, play a vital role. Then come the trials. These are complex legal proceedings, often held in international courts. Think of it like a regular trial, but with much higher stakes. The goal is to ensure a fair trial, to determine guilt or innocence based on evidence, not politics. These trials are crucial. They send a message that those who commit atrocities will be held accountable. They provide a voice to the victims, a chance to tell their stories, and they offer a path towards healing, towards reconciliation. International law is like the rule book for how countries should behave. And just like any rule book, it has rules about war. The Geneva Conventions, for example, lay out the rules for how civilians and prisoners of war should be treated during conflict. Now, enforcing these rules is tough. There's no global police force that can swoop in and arrest war criminals. It relies on countries working together on putting pressure on those who break the rules. But international law matters. It sets standards. It provides a framework for accountability. It's a reminder that even in the chaos of war, there are lines that cannot be crossed. Section 5. Obstacles and challenges to justice. Let's be real, seeking justice for war crimes is like trying to herd cats. It's messy, it's frustrating, and sometimes you just want to give up and watch reality TV. There are roadblocks everywhere. First off, politics. Powerful countries often protect their own, even when they're accused of horrible crimes. And let's not forget about the lack of resources. International courts are stretched thin, struggling to handle the sheer number of cases. Then there's the issue of evidence. War zones are dangerous, making it tough to gather proof. Witnesses are often afraid to speak out, fearing for their safety. It's a logistical nightmare, but even with all these challenges, we can't give up. The pursuit of justice is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires patience, persistence, and a belief that even in the darkest of times, accountability is possible. Section 6, a long road to accountability. So how do we make accountability a reality? It starts with acknowledging that this is a long game. There won't be any quick fixes, no magic wands to erase the horrors of war, but there are things we can do. We need to support international courts and organizations, give them the resources they need to do their jobs. We also need to pressure our own governments to uphold international law, to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And let's not underestimate the power of public pressure, speaking out against atrocities, raising awareness, holding our leaders accountable. These things matter. They create a climate where justice is possible. Section 7, justice delayed is justice denied. Some argue that pursuing justice for war crimes is pointless, that it's all too little, too late. They say it just rakes up old wounds, stirs up more conflict. But imagine telling that to a survivor of genocide, to a family still searching for answers decades later. Justice isn't about revenge. It's about acknowledging the suffering of victims, about ensuring that history doesn't repeat itself. It's about saying that even years, even decades later, the pursuit of truth and accountability matters. Yes, the road to justice is long and winding, but every step we take, every perpetrator held accountable, every victim given a voice, it brings us closer to a world where these atrocities are less likely to occur. Section 8, towards a more just future. Look, I'm not naive. I know we'll probably never live in a world without war. Humans, we have a knack for finding new and creative ways to mess things up, but that doesn't mean we should give up on justice. We have to believe that a better world is possible. A world where those who commit atrocities are held accountable, where victims receive justice, where the rule of law prevails even in the darkest of times. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the problem, but remember, even small acts can make a difference. Speaking out, supporting organizations fighting for justice, educating yourself and others, these are all steps in the right direction. The pursuit of justice for war crimes isn't just about the past, it's about the future. It's about creating a world where these horrors are less likely to happen again. And that's a fight worth fighting.